And, of course, we broke that on Tuesday and Wednesday, but then AP and others found articles you can pull up, because there's literally thousands of these, where local police would order them to take down video that showed, quote, police brutality. Oh, but here's CNET News. That's a division of CBS. So this isn't some reactionary group that actually knows what they're talking about. It's the dinosaur establishment finally figuring it out. As we told you months ago, this is the U.S. version of the secret UN treaty leaked a year ago that Obama doesn't want public, that openly says no judge, no jury. Any corporation or any foreign government can order your website taken down or blocked, its DNS, for any reason. Here's the CBS News headline. Representative, we're going to get them on, Lofgren, copyright bill is the end of the internet. It is. Representative Zoe Lofgren, California Democrat, whose district includes the heart of Silicon Valley, is preparing to lead a congressional opposition to the new Stop Online Piracy Act, because there's no judge, no jury, no due process. They just say your words are, and you're gone. And then they're going to have an internet ID where you put an internet ID on when you get online to track you. Then if you're bad, they ban your ID. Now you can't use the internet. The equivalent of being put in a Nazi ghetto in 1937, financially. The anti-piracy legislation introduced yesterday in the House of Representatives to applause of lobbyists for Hollywood and other large content holders is designed to make alleged copyright infringers' websites, sometimes called rogue websites, virtually disappear from the internet. I'm still reviewing the legislation, but from what I've already read, this would mean an end to the internet as we know it. Yeah, well, the end of due process as we know it. They're already doing this. You'll see them shut down 50,000 websites to shut down one without a court order. Now, the really big news is coming up. Stay with us. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back live. I'm going to have open phones in the second hour. We're all set to get into the EU debt woes to last 2 or 3 years. Oh, after they got the $5 trillion more. Yeah, $1.4 trillion leveraged out to $5 trillion. On $100 billion that Greece owes? Oh, that was just the excuse for the mega banks to fully destroy the sovereignty left in Europe. Also, the moves to strike Iran and to strike Assad's Syria. The nationwide crackdown on Occupy Wall Street has begun. Why is that? Because the Democrats kicked this thing off, were unable to fully control it and occupy it, and co-opt it. So now they're rubber bulleting people in the face from Oakland, California to Denver. And I've got incredible video coming up if we have time to get to it, of people just blood pouring out of them for no reason. I mean, this is like China or something. And it's not that I even agree with all the Occupy Wall Street people and their calls for socialism. Doesn't matter what their view is. This is America. You don't shotgun them at 2 feet away and almost kill people. Some of them are in comas. They've been shot in the head. And I see cops online, and Drudge was linked to an article that had people commenting, making jokes about it. Okay, well, folks are going to make a joke about taking your pension fund. Look, if all of our rights aren't protected, none of our rights are. I mean, have people figured this out yet? When somebody gets their rights run over, it's not funny, even if you or I don't agree with them. Because when somebody else's rights gets run over, that creates a precedent for it to happen to us, or our wives, our children, our grandparents, our husbands, our brothers, our sisters, our pastors. This is wrong. Now, I had actually seen this video before because we bought a bunch of National Archive footage years ago, but I happened to come back across it this weekend doing research on psychological warfare. I was looking for one of the newer psychological warfare training videos in its entirety. I was only sent a demo of it a few years ago, Department of Defense. And I found one from 1968, and its field manual video number, or projector number, is United States Army presents TF-33-3972, 1968. And I watched this Friday night and spent much of Saturday researching it, much of today researching it, to my wife's chagrin, because if a photo can tell 1,000 words, if a picture can tell 1,000 words, what does 25 minutes of video tell? And I don't have time here today to air all of this. But this was shown to PSYOP officers in all the branches of the military, mainly for the Vietnam War. But it's shot in an Eastern European-style country called Host Nation. And they're fighting communists in this PSYOPs once classified, this was declassified in the 80s, film that I'm about to play the audio of for radio listeners. PrisonPlanet.tv viewers will be able to see it. And I'm going to get this posted up on InfoWars as well so people can look at it. Everybody. I mean, this is disgusting. It's better to say we don't have psychological warfare manuals. What we believe in is on our sleeve. Liberty, freedom, the family, period. We're here to bring liberty, not a bunch of creeping around garbage. So you look at the psych warfare, the PSYOP being run in America, just like I was sent the Homeland Security documents. Remember, I broke that 3 years ago. State police and FBI. I got another manual from a federal marshal. And all those stories made national news. None of it has to do with Al-Qaeda. That is itself a PSYOP. None of it had to do with Al-Qaeda. That itself was a PSYOP. It said, number 1 threat to America, returning veterans. Number 2, gun owners. Number 3, Ron Paul supporters. Number 4, libertarians. Number 5, those that don't want us in the UN. Number 6, private property activists. You're being told you're giving up all these liberties and having the government stick their hands down your pants at the airport because they're trying to keep you safe, but really, it's an internal domestic checkpoint. All right, we'll get to most of it in the next segment, but let's go ahead and start rolling the intro of it where they have the name of the PSYOP manual, TF-33-3972. United States Army presents TF-33-3972, 1968. Psychological operations in support of internal defense and deployment assistance programs. And the point is, when they have checkpoints in America, as the TSA now has on the highways, that is martial law. You are under martial law.
This is the United States Embassy in a country we shall call land. In actuality, Hostland does not exist, but this fictional nation has many counterparts. Small countries in which outside alien hands have planted the seeds of subversion.
Stop right there. We're going to come back. Oh, outside foreign mega banks that created thousands of trillions in fake derivatives and got their people in control of every federal position, a regulatory position. You see, now the outside subverters have come in and taken over the country and are turning the internal defense against the real patriots.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
If you go to drudgereport.com, you'll notice on the right-hand side where the top story up there, armed citizen militia shows up at Occupy Phoenix. Group is affiliated with neo-Nazi fringe. And Paul Watson asked the question, is this some kind of setup? I've seen a lot of feds, and these guys really don't look and act like them. Maybe I'll get this guy on the air, but we'll talk about that. I know that armed groups at Tea Party events were used to demonize the Tea Party, but I think it's great to have guns in public to teach people they're not illegal. I mean, enough of old folks getting arrested because some carpet cleaner's in their house and sees their gun cabinet. I've had some carpet cleaner try to call the cops on me like 12 years ago because I had a gun case. I mean, I'm not kidding. They said, you're not allowed to have guns. I said, are you crazy? But I guess they watch sitcoms and dramas that are all based in New York City or something. So they, see the shows where the cop goes, he's got a gun, arrest him. He's got a gun in his house. But I'm going to get to that report next hour. Now, again, this is like 25 minutes long. And it gets into the creepy part next. It talks about propaganda, how to sell it, how to do it. But in the next clip from this Army Psychological Warfare video, Room 68, it gets into the checkpoints and the martial law. And, I wrote the notes on points I wanted to make about this video. There is a war on for your mind. Just get that through your head. And then ask yourself, what are the messages that media and government-sponsored systems are putting out? Anti-gun, anti-family, anti-freedom. So this is an illegitimate government. Okay? Also, the system is built for the general public. This internal defense, that's what martial law is really called in the military. In fact, I freaked out an Army officer last night, knowing all these terms, because they're all trained in this now. They've all been getting ready for this for more than a decade. As the bankers imploded the economy by design, the military doesn't know why they're being told get ready for it, while they're training everybody in riot control, because they're bringing the country down by design. Then their false solution will be collectivism, with the general public calling to rob the middle class, which they believe is the rich, while the ultra-rich sit offshore and set the whole thing up to destroy the free market, which is the enemy of the mega monopoly men. So the system is built for the general public. This whole system is built and designed for a countrywide takeover. It's not designed for Al-Qaeda, who they just gave Libya to. The homeland is the body snatcher, to use a science fiction analogy. The homeland, when they announce the homeland, it's the pea pod. When the republic goes to sleep, they lay this down, you die, and then the new creature that looks like the old America pops out of the pea pod. When you hear Homeland Security, that's the federal globalist takeover of the local police and everything else. Let's go back to the piece. Here it is.
Typifies such a country. A nation seeking its own independent path to progress, but stalled in its forward march by a subversive force that grows more malignant with each passing day.
Gentlemen, the pattern here is familiar. Mr. Jocko, what is your government doing about this?
As you know, we have had some success in counteracting their efforts, but never quite enough. At best, we have achieved a containment, stalemate. Now, with the sudden intensification of subversive activity, the outbreak of violence in the eastern province, my government is firmly convinced that a full-scale internal defense operation is the only answer to the problem. That is why we have once again come to the United States for help. As to our specific needs, you will find them outlined in the official requests, which we have submitted for your attention.
Again, folks, they're talking about internal defense. That's martial law. Then they show what internal defense is, and it's exactly what's being set up in America. Okay? Let's go back to it.
Updated. So I've been informed by your military attaché, Colonel Adams here. You have men who specialize in internal defense operations, familiar with the situation we're facing.
Then you are specifically requesting
That you assist us ending our current training program. We've got to set up and staff new training centers for officers and NCOs. And we must move quickly. With your government's help, we should be able to accomplish our objectives in much less time. And time will be a critical factor.
I feel confident that my government will give you every assistance along those lines. In fact, we should be able to have additional advisors on the way here in a matter of just a few days. Other specifics?
Frankly, Mr. Ambassador, we lack the trained men who would be able to plan and implement operations in an area we think is vitally important. Because of this, we are also requesting that your team of advisors include a senior officer who is thoroughly experienced in psychological operations.
Ooh.
Very well, sir. I think we can provide you with an expert on the subject. This man is the expert on the subject. His name is Leo Hamilton, and he is a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army. Earlier today, he was designated the Psychological Operations Staff Officer Advisor.
He helped put fluoride in the
other
water.
officers on the advisory
He helped get
team,
gun control through.
He will be flying to host land.
He helped bring down America. He can screw up your country, too.
In the area of psychological operations, PSYOP, Colonel Hamilton qualifies as a veteran with considerable field experience.
Yeah, hit pause. People like Colonel Hamilton can demonize the Founding Fathers and people that love actual freedom. People like Colonel Hamilton can wreck America and turn it into the cesspit it is today and make people hate real Americans that actually have their heads screwed on straight. Yes, if you like the way America's going, continue with the PSYOP. And then it gets into even more creepiness. Listen, I got to get to the start of this, though, with the checkpoints. Let's go to the next clip. And again, I'm going to get these posted this evening. I actually asked my web guys to post it. I must have missed it if it is posted, but I'm going to make some phone calls during the breaks to my weekend web people. I'm going to have them post these videos at Infowars.com because you need to see the full thing, the full 25 minutes. One of them is called Psychological Operations in Support of Internal Defense Programs. And then part 1 is called Psychological Operations in Support of Internal Defense and Development Assistance Programs.